Tyler pointed at me across the attorney's conference table. His fingers shook with fake emotion. She isolated our mother, he said, his voice cracked perfectly on cue. She controlled everything, every decision, every doctor's appointment, every penny. His wife Brianna nodded beside him. Her face showed dramatic sadness. Tears filled her eyes. The lawyer leaned forward with his pen ready. He believed every word. Everyone in that cold conference room waited for my reaction. They expected tears. They expected denials. They expected me to break down like a guilty person would. I didn't blink. I didn't cry or shake. I just sat there with my hands folded calmly on the polished wood table. I watched their performance. My heart raced inside my chest, but my face stayed perfectly neutral. Because I already knew every single word they were about to say. Every accusation, every lie. I had heard their entire strategy 2 days earlier, recorded in perfect clarity. In my own car, on my dashcam. Tyler's performance was flawless. Brianna's timing was perfect. They had practiced well. But they didn't know I had watched the entire rehearsal. I stepped out of the conference room into a hallway. It was so quiet I could hear the fluorescent lights humming. My hands finally started shaking, but only after the door closed behind me and I was alone. I leaned against the cold wall. I let myself breathe for the first time in an hour. That's when I mentally replayed the title of my nightmare one more time. My brother coached his wife on what to tell the lawyer about me, and they did it in my car with the dashcam recording every single word. My name is Evelyn Hayes. I'm 34 years old. I live in a small Ohio town where everyone knows everyone's business. I grew up believing family meant everything. I thought blood ties were sacred and unbreakable. I thought siblings protected each other no matter what. I never expected the person who would try to destroy my entire life would share my blood. Tyler was my older brother. We'd shared a childhood full of scraped knees and birthday cakes and summer vacations. But somewhere along the way, something changed. I pulled out my phone. I scrolled to the video file saved in my documents. The timestamp glowed on the screen. 2 days ago, my car, their voices plotting my destruction. I had the proof. I grew up in a small house in Ohio. Tyler was treated like the sun. I orbited around him like a minor planet. Mom bragged about him constantly. She acted like he cured diseases or discovered new continents. Every report card became a celebration. Every sports game was a major event. Every tiny thing Tyler did got special dinners and phone calls to relatives. I was the steady one, the one nobody worried about, the dependable daughter who didn't need attention or praise. It's not favoritism, Evelyn, Mom would tell me. I asked why Tyler got the bigger bedroom, why he got the newer bike, why he got the fully funded college account. It's just who you are naturally. You're dependable and responsible. Tyler needs more support to succeed. Dependable became my prison cell. Everyone else used it as a free pass to ignore me. Tyler could forget Mom's birthday and everyone understood. I couldn't. Tyler could skip family dinners for years and nobody cared. I couldn't. Tyler could move 3 states away for his career while I stayed close. But when Mom needed help after her stroke, guess who got the desperate phone call? Not the golden boy. Me. The dependable one. I was at work in my small accounting office when my phone rang. An unknown number flashed on the screen. The hospital's main line. Immediate panic shot through my body. Your mother had a serious stroke, the nurse said with professional calm. You need to come to the ICU right now. I grabbed my keys and raced to the hospital. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it. Mom lay in a hospital bed, surrounded by beeping machines and tangled wires. Half her face was completely paralyzed, frozen like a mask. She tried to smile when she saw me rushing through the door, but only one side of her mouth moved upward. I held her shaking hand and cried. I couldn't hold back the tears. Tyler showed up 3 hours later. He walked in casually like he was visiting a friend. He patted my shoulder awkwardly like I was a distant stranger, not his sister. I can't take time off work right now, he announced. No apology. But you're good with medical stuff, right? You understand all this doctor talk. I stared at him. Tyler, she's our mother. He just shrugged. I know, but you live closer. You're better at this caregiving thing than I am. He stayed 15 minutes, took a selfie with Mom for social media, then left. I slept in an uncomfortable recliner next to Mom's bed for 6 straight months, no nights off. I ate meals at odd hours between managing her complicated medication schedule. I lifted her fragile body from bed to wheelchair, from wheelchair to shower chair, supporting her weight carefully. I managed her endless pills, her 3 weekly physical therapy appointments, her confusing insurance claims and denials. Tyler and Brianna visited maybe once a month if we were lucky. They'd show up carrying expensive coffee drinks and fancy pastries. They'd stay exactly 15 minutes taking photos. Then they'd leave before any real work started. Brianna would pose next to Mom's bed. She'd take dozens of photos, then post them on social media with captions about family love and dedication before disappearing again. I remember one particular Sunday afternoon when they were leaving early as usual. Brianna whispered to Tyler at the front door. Her voice was just loud enough for me to overhear clearly. I could never do what Evelyn does every single day. It's such exhausting work. It sounded like genuine praise, like admiration. It wasn't. It was actually the first seed of something much darker, the beginning of their plan. 3 months after Mom's stroke, a hospital social worker gently suggested she assign someone official power of attorney, someone to make important decisions, someone to handle her medical and financial affairs legally. Mom insisted firmly that I should handle all the paperwork and responsibilities. Medical decisions about treatments, bank accounts and bill payments, insurance forms and claims, everything. I trust you completely, sweetheart, she said. She squeezed my hand with her good side. It's not that I don't trust Tyler at all. I just don't want to burden him with all this complicated responsibility. Tyler's jaw twitched when Mom told him her decision. He forced a tight smile but said absolutely nothing in response. Later that same evening, Brianna cornered me alone in the kitchen. I was washing dishes from dinner. That's an awful lot of power for just one person to have, she said in a casual tone. She leaned against the counter with her arms crossed. Don't you think families should really share responsibility equally in situations like this? I turned to look directly at her. Mom made her choice freely. I'm just helping her like any daughter would. Brianna smiled, but the expression didn't reach her cold eyes. Of course you are. I just think it's very interesting that you suddenly have complete control of everything now. I didn't understand what Brianna was implying then. Not yet anyway. She was testing me, carefully, seeing how easily guilt and doubt worked on my personality, planting seeds of suspicion like a careful gardener. The rumors began spreading with one seemingly innocent question at a family gathering. At Sunday lunch with extended family at a local restaurant, I clearly heard Brianna talking quietly to our cousin Valerie. We can hardly see Mom anymore these days, Brianna said sadly. She stirred her iced tea slowly. Evelyn always claims she's too tired for visitors or says Mom needs rest. It wasn't true at all. I never said that to anyone. I always welcomed visitors and encouraged them to come. But doubt sticks to people like gum under a table. Impossible to remove. Valerie looked at me differently after that quiet conversation, with suspicious eyes. Other family members gradually started watching me with concern and distrust. Whispering stopped when I entered rooms. Questions about Mom's care slowly became accusations wrapped in false concern. Are you absolutely sure Mom needs all those expensive medications? Why doesn't Tyler help more with important decisions? Isn't it incredibly hard managing everything completely alone? One particular evening, Mom called weakly for help from her bedroom. I was standing in the kitchen. I accidentally overheard Brianna's poison spreading through phone calls to various relatives. That night, Mom apologized to me. She gently touched my wrist while I carefully adjusted her pillows. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. You're doing absolutely everything. This isn't fair to you at all. She squeezed my hand weakly. Mom asked me a question that night. A question I would remember forever. One that would echo in my mind later. Does Tyler ever offer to help financially with anything? Gas money? Groceries? Medical bills? I lied to protect him like I always did. He helps how he can, Mom. Everyone contributes differently. She squeezed my hand firmly with her functioning side. You're such a good sister. Better than he honestly deserves after everything. Her eyes filled with tears that rolled down her cheeks. I'll remember all of this when the time comes. I promise you that. I didn't fully know what she meant by that statement. Not until later. Not until I found the updated paperwork hidden in her desk drawer. She had changed her will 3 weeks before she died, making important revisions. But that night, I just held her shaking hand gently. I told her everything would be okay. The next morning, I went to wake her up for breakfast like usual. She didn't respond to my voice calling her name. I called louder. Still nothing. I touched her shoulder gently, hoping she was just sleeping deeply. Her skin was cold to the touch. Mom had died peacefully in her sleep during the night. Painless and quiet. Exactly how she would have wanted to go. I immediately called 911 with shaking hands. Then I called Tyler's number. He didn't answer. I left an emotional voicemail through tears. The funeral was held on a gray Tuesday morning under cloudy skies. Our small church was packed completely with relatives, neighbors, and Mom's many friends from over the years. After the emotional service ended, we held a lunch reception at the church hall downstairs. I was carrying plates of food to the tables, trying to be helpful despite my grief. That's when Brianna's voice suddenly cut through the quiet conversations. She projected her voice just loud enough for all the nearby tables to hear clearly. Do you honestly think Mom really understood her bank statements after Evelyn took over everything? The question hung in the air like poison. Silence spread like a dark stain across the white tablecloth. A church lady I'd known my entire life looked at me like she didn't recognize me anymore, like I was a stranger. My hands shook so badly I dropped a metal spoon. The spoon clattered loudly on the hard floor. Everyone turned to stare at me. Tyler stood right next to Brianna. He said absolutely nothing, didn't correct her false words, didn't defend me at all. He just looked at me with completely blank eyes. Empty. Cold. Distant. The whispers started immediately throughout the room. By the time I bent down and picked up the fallen spoon, half the room believed I'd somehow stolen from my own dying mother. The will reading 3 days later was even worse. The estate lawyer opened the sealed envelope in his small downtown office. Tyler and Brianna sat together on one side of the wooden desk. I sat alone on the other side. Mom's last will was surprisingly simple and direct. The house, her only real valuable asset, went entirely to me. Her modest financial accounts would be divided equally after considering previous substantial gifts to children. Tyler's face drained completely of color when the lawyer mentioned previous gifts. He suddenly remembered something he'd tried to forget. 7 years ago, Mom gave Tyler exactly $40,000 for a down payment on his first house. She'd made him sign legal paperwork clearly stating it was an advance payment on his future inheritance. He'd conveniently forgotten about that official paperwork. Or maybe he'd hoped everyone else had forgotten. Brianna's hand gripped Tyler's arm so tightly, her knuckles turned white. Tyler stood up very suddenly. His chair scraped loudly. "This isn't right at all," he said. His voice shook with anger and disbelief. "Mom wouldn't do this to me. She wouldn't cut me out like this." The lawyer cleared his throat professionally. "She didn't cut you out, Mr. Hayes. She already gave you your share years ago." Tyler stormed out before the meeting officially ended. Brianna followed behind him quickly, but not before shooting me a look of pure, undisguised hatred. He called me the very next day with a threat wrapped in false concern. Tyler showed up at my door completely unannounced that afternoon. He paced my living room like a trapped, angry animal. "I don't understand why she'd do this to me," he snapped. He ran his hands roughly through his hair. "You must have said something to her, convinced her somehow, manipulated her mind when she was vulnerable." I stayed outwardly calm even though my heart was racing fast. Mom made her own decisions freely. Tyler, I didn't manipulate her about anything. His face twisted with rage and frustration. "You had complete power of attorney over everything. You controlled all her finances." "How do I know you didn't forge her signature?" Tyler continued. "How do I know this is even real?" The false accusation hit me like a physical slap across the face. "You seriously think I would steal from Mom?" Tyler exhaled sharply through his nose. "I don't know what to think anymore, Evelyn, but I'm definitely not letting this go. I'm fighting this." He walked toward the front door, then stopped suddenly. He turned back to face me with cold, determined eyes. "Don't blame me for calling a lawyer. You brought this on yourself." He left without looking back at me. I stood in my living room, shaking uncontrollably. 2 days later, his car supposedly broke down. He called asking to borrow mine. Tyler's voice on the phone sounded stressed and urgent. "Our car's stuck in the shop," he said quickly. "We have an important meeting with the lawyer today. Can we borrow yours? Just for a few hours." Something deep in me hesitated strongly. A tiny voice in my head screamed no, but old habits run incredibly deep. Dependable Evelyn, helpful Evelyn, the sister who always says yes. I handed him my keys at the door without questions. He took them without even meeting my eyes directly. "Thanks," he muttered quickly. "We'll have it back by evening." Brianna waited in their rental car parked on the street. She didn't wave or acknowledge me. Tyler joked as he walked away toward my car. "Relax, Evelyn. It's not like I'm stealing your life or anything." He laughed. I tried to smile, but the words felt wrong and heavy. A cold weight settled deep in my stomach. That evening, they returned my car with barely a thank you. I noticed a small scratch on the rear bumper. Tyler shrugged casually. "Must have been there already." After they left, I remembered something important. My Dashcam. It runs automatically whenever the car is turned on. I opened my laptop immediately to check if the scratch was visible in the footage. I scrolled through hours of recordings. I opened the Dashcam video files on my computer. Hours of completely normal driving. Traffic lights, parking lots. Nothing unusual at first. Then suddenly I saw it. My car parked outside an office building downtown. The interior camera showed Tyler and Brianna sitting in the front seats, talking, practicing, rehearsing. "Remember to say she isolated Mom from family," Tyler said. He looked at a notepad with written notes. "Make it sound like you witnessed it personally with your own eyes." Brianna nodded seriously. "And the tearful pause when I mentioned the bank accounts? Like we practiced?" Tyler smiled coldly. "Perfect. That's absolutely perfect. Make sure you blame her for everything wrong. The lawyer needs to believe we're the innocent victims here." I froze completely. My ears burned. My hands shook on the keyboard. My own brother was rehearsing his betrayal like professional actors preparing for a stage performance. Every lie carefully crafted and written down. Every emotion calculated and practiced. Every accusation specifically designed to destroy me completely. I hit rewind and listened again and again, taking detailed notes, recording timestamps carefully, saving the file as evidence. They had absolutely no idea the car had a Dashcam installed. No idea I would find this recording. No idea their perfect plan was already falling apart. I sat at my kitchen table listening to the full recording 3 complete times. Tyler's voice, Brianna's coached responses, the lawyer's name mentioned, meeting details discussed in detail. They planned to accuse me of financial elder abuse, claim I manipulated Mom into changing her will, suggest I isolated her from family deliberately. All lies, all rehearsed, all carefully designed to steal what Mom wanted me to have. I didn't cry. I didn't scream at the screen. I didn't call anyone immediately. I just took notes in careful handwriting. Every detail documented, every timeline recorded, every piece of their elaborate plan. My quiet anger became sharp, focused determination. They turned every caregiving moment into evidence of abuse. Every sacrifice into proof of manipulation. Every quiet act of love into a calculated crime. By the time the recording finally ended, something inside me had hardened permanently. I wasn't the dependable sister anymore. I wasn't the people pleaser who always forgave everything. I was someone who would fight back with the truth. I saved the file with a new name, truth.mp4. Then I started systematically gathering everything else I would need. Every document, every receipt, every proof of my innocence. I opened Mom's old 3-ring binder carefully, the one where she documented absolutely everything. Every doctor's appointment with dates and detailed notes. Every medication change recorded. Every physical therapy session logged. Every bill paid on time. Every insurance claim filed correctly. Mom had written notes in the margins in her shaky handwriting. Evelyn handled everything again today. Evelyn stayed up all night with me when I couldn't sleep. Tyler called but couldn't visit again. 6 months of careful documentation. Proof of my constant care. Proof of Tyler's obvious absence. I gathered everything into organized folders, bank statements showing no unusual withdrawals, medical records with my signature as power of attorney, receipts for Mom's care supplies, medications, equipment, emails from doctors thanking me for my care, voicemails from Mom expressing gratitude. Everything was organized by date, everything was dated properly, everything told the truth. My past became evidence. My sacrifice became proof. My love became my defense. Then I remembered something else important. Mrs. Cole next door. She had seen everything for 6 months. Watched from her window. She was about to become my most important witness. I walked over to her house that afternoon. Mrs. Cole invited me in for tea the next afternoon. She was 72 years old, sharp as ever. I heard about the trouble with your brother, she said. She poured chamomile tea into delicate cups. I want you to know I saw everything that happened. I looked up from my tea hopefully. Everything, she nodded firmly. I saw what you did for your mother every single day. The late nights when lights stayed on, the early mornings when you were already up, the ambulance that one time. I saw you crying on the porch after particularly hard days. Her eyes filled with genuine sympathy. And I saw your brother, Mrs. Cole continued, taking pictures with your mother and leaving 10 minutes later every time. Posting on social media like he was there every day. Mrs. Cole set down her cup carefully. I also saw Brianna on her phone in your driveway one day. She was talking loud enough for me to hear through my open window. She was telling someone that you were controlling everything and isolating your mother. She paused meaningfully. Would you like me to write a statement? I exhaled for the first time in days. Yes. Please. That night, sorting through Mom's papers in her desk, I found a folder with Tyler's name written on it. I opened it with shaking hands. Inside were bank documents from 7 years ago. The down payment paperwork Mom had made Tyler sign. $40,000, given as an advance on his future inheritance. Mom's distinctive handwriting was on a note attached to the front page. This counts as Tyler's inheritance. He got his share early. My heartbeat slowed. I read the note 3 times carefully. Tyler had already received his portion of Mom's estate years ago. He'd spent it on his house. He just wanted mine too. The greed wasn't about fairness at all. It was about wanting everything. I made copies of everything in that folder, 3 complete sets, one for me, one for my lawyer, one for backup. That night, the family group chat on my phone exploded with messages, screenshots, accusations, poison spreading through our family like wildfire. My reputation was being destroyed in real time by people who should have known better. People who'd known me my entire life. Cousins I'd played with as a child. Aunts who'd watched me grow up. All turning against me based on nothing but gossip and lies. My phone buzzed constantly with hateful messages. Messages from cousins I barely knew. Evelyn wouldn't let us see Mom before she died. She controlled everything and no one could stop her. I think something shady happened with the will. Screenshots poured in from various family members. They showed me what Brianna was posting in other group chats. Lies upon lies upon lies. My reputation was unraveling thread by thread. People who'd known me my whole life were turning against me, based on nothing but gossip and manipulation. I desperately wanted to respond, to defend myself, to scream the truth at everyone, but I didn't. I stayed quiet. I simply replied to one cousin who'd always been kind to me. None of it is true, and I can prove it. I didn't explain further, didn't argue, didn't beg to be believed. I just waited. The next morning I called a lawyer, not the one handling Mom's estate, a different one. One who specialized in defamation and family disputes. Her name was Patricia Wells. She had excellent reviews online and a reputation for winning difficult cases. I explained my situation briefly on the phone. She agreed to see me that same afternoon. I gathered all my evidence carefully, the Dashcam recording, Mom's binder, bank statements, Mrs. Cole's written statement. Everything organized in labeled folders. I had an appointment scheduled for 3 o'clock. Patricia Wells had a small office downtown, professional but comfortable. She listened to my story without interrupting once. Then I played the Dashcam recording. Tyler's voice filled her office. Brianna's responses echoed off the walls. The lies, the coaching. The strategy. Patricia set down her pen slowly. Evelyn, she said carefully, this isn't just lying. This is conspiracy. This is a coordinated attack on your character with the intent to steal your inheritance. She leaned forward. Do you have other evidence? I pulled out the binder, the medical records, the bank statements, the receipts, Mrs. Cole's written statement, Mom's note about Tyler's down payment, everything organized in labeled folders. Patricia smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of a lawyer who knows she's going to win. We'll handle this calmly, professionally, and we will win. She made copies of everything. I'll file a response to Tyler's claims, and I'll prepare a countersuit for defamation if necessary. She organized everything on her desk. This dashcam recording is devastating to their case. They basically confessed to fraud on tape. 3 days later, Tyler asked to meet me privately. I agreed, but only at a public cafe with witnesses. Tyler sat across from me at the coffee shop. He looked tired, stressed, dark circles under his eyes. He ordered an espresso he didn't drink. Let's just split the house, he said, trying to sound reasonable. We'll sell it and divide the money, then we can forget all this and move on. I sipped my coffee slowly. No, his eyes widened in surprise. What do you mean, no? I met his gaze steadily. Mom wanted me to have the house, Tyler. She made that clear in her will. After everything I did for her, I'm not giving it away to make you feel better. His face twisted with anger. You're being selfish. I almost laughed out loud. I'm being selfish? You got $40,000 7 years ago. I got 6 months of sleepless nights and a lifetime of memories watching Mom decline. Don't talk to me about selfish. Tyler leaned forward, his voice dropped to a whisper. If you push this, Evelyn, I'll make sure everyone believes what I tell them. The whole family will turn against you. I took another sip of coffee. We'll see. 2 weeks later, we were back in the mediation room. This time I was ready with everything I needed. Tyler and Brianna delivered their rehearsed lines perfectly. They sat across from me in the attorney's conference room. Tyler spoke about isolation, how I kept Mom away from family deliberately. Brianna described manipulation, how I controlled every decision. Their lawyer spoke like he was reading from scripture. Accusations flew across the table like arrows. Financial abuse, undue influence, suspicious changes to the will. Every word carefully chosen, every emotion precisely timed. The performance was flawless, almost believable. If I hadn't heard the rehearsal, I might have doubted myself, but I had heard it. I knew every line before they spoke it. My heartbeat stayed steady. My hands didn't shake. Because I knew what was coming next. The mediator, an older woman named Constance Perry, looked at me with neutral eyes. Miss Hayes, she said, would you like to respond to these allegations? I pulled out my phone, connected it to a small portable speaker Patricia had suggested bringing. I think we should hear where their story came from, I said calmly. I pressed play. Tyler's voice filled the conference room. Clear, unmistakable. Remember to say she isolated Mom. Make it sound like you witnessed it personally. Brianna's response. And the tearful pause when I mentioned the bank accounts? Tyler's approval. Perfect. That's perfect. Make sure you blame her for everything. The recording played for 3 minutes. Every lie they'd just told was exposed as rehearsed fiction. Every tear they'd shed was revealed as calculated performance. The room went silent. Brianna went pale. Tyler dropped his pen. It rolled across the table and fell to the floor. Nobody moved to pick it up. The mediator's face remained neutral, but I saw her eyebrows raise slightly. Tyler's lawyer set down his notepad. His jaw tightened. Can we take a recess? He asked quietly. The mediator nodded. 15 minutes. In the hallway, Tyler's lawyer pulled him aside. I could hear the sharp, whispered conversation even from 20 feet away. Brianna stood alone, staring at her phone like it might save her. It wouldn't. When we returned to the conference room, the atmosphere had changed completely. Shifted. The mediator reviewed Mom's documentation that Patricia had submitted. 6 months of care logs, medical appointments, financial records showing normal documented expenses, bank statements proving no suspicious withdrawals, everything organized, everything truthful, everything I had lived through. The mediator looked at Tyler. Mr. Hayes, I'm going to ask you directly. Did you rehearse false testimony in Miss Hayes's vehicle? Tyler opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Finally, he nodded. Yes. Patricia pulled out another folder, the one labeled Tyler. She slid the documents across the table slowly. Mom's note, the down payment paperwork, bank records from 7 years ago. Patricia opened the folder carefully. She slid the documents across the table to the mediator. Mom's note, the down payment paperwork. Bank records from 7 years ago, $40,000. Given as an advance on inheritance. Signed and acknowledged by Tyler. The mediator reviewed everything twice. She read Mom's handwritten note out loud. This counts as Tyler's inheritance. He got his share early. Tyler's lawyer pinched the bridge of his nose. I wasn't aware of this, he said quietly. Tyler tried to argue. That was different. That was years ago. It shouldn't count against what Mom left now. But numbers don't lie, dates don't lie, signatures don't lie. He had received his portion of Mom's estate years before she died. He just wanted more, wanted everything. The mediator looked at both lawyers. Given the evidence of rehearsed false testimony and the documentation of previous inheritance distribution, I recommend we settle this immediately. She paused. I also need to mention that false statements in legal proceedings can have professional consequences. Tyler's face went white. He worked at a regional bank. Ethics violations could cost him his job, his career, everything he'd built. The mediator recognized his employer's name. Wells Fargo has strict ethics policies, she said. Looking directly at Tyler, the mediator's words hung in the air like a threat. I recognize your employer. Coordinating false testimony in a legal proceeding could raise concerns about your professional integrity. Tyler's confidence shattered like glass. His hands started shaking. Wait, he said quickly. Can we just settle this, please? I'll drop everything. His lawyer looked disgusted but nodded. We'll accept the will as written, no further challenges. The mediator made notes. Miss Hayes, are you agreeable to settling without pressing defamation charges? I looked at Patricia. She nodded slightly. It was my choice. I could ruin Tyler's life completely. File criminal complaints, sue for defamation, destroy his career. Part of me wanted to, but another part just wanted it over. I'll agree to settle, I said. If Tyler signs a statement acknowledging Mom's wishes were clear and that his previous inheritance was legitimate. Tyler signed without reading it carefully. His hand shook as he wrote his signature. Later, Brianna asked to speak to me alone. Patricia advised against it strongly, but I wanted to hear what she had to say. I agreed to meet her. Brianna and I met at a quiet cafe 2 days later. She looked different, smaller, tired, no perfect makeup, no designer clothes, just a woman who'd been part of something terrible. I need to tell you something, she said. She stirred her coffee nervously. Tears ran down her cheeks. Real ones this time. Not rehearsed. Tyler lied to me about everything, Brianna said. He told me you manipulated your mom. He said you forged documents. He made me believe you were the villain. She wiped her eyes with a napkin. I found out he forged my signature once on a loan application. I didn't even know until the bank called. He's done other things too. Financial things I'm just discovering. Brianna looked up at me. His plan wasn't just to get the house, it was revenge. He resented that your mom trusted you more. He blamed you for not helping him more financially over the years. He wrote emails about it. She pulled out her phone. I have something else you should see. I'm so sorry. She showed me her phone screen. Email threads between Tyler and his friend. Messages full of hatred. Plans for revenge. I read every word carefully. Brianna showed me an email thread on her phone. Messages between Tyler and his friend. Written 3 months before Mom died. Evelyn thinks she's so perfect, playing the martyr while Mom gives her everything. Mom always loved her more. This is my chance to get what I deserve. Evelyn owes me. She always has. Time to collect. I read every word. The hatred was deeper than I'd imagined. This wasn't about money. It was about a lifetime of jealousy, about feeling second best, about blaming me for his own choices. Tyler hadn't just wanted the house. He'd wanted to destroy me. Break me, make me suffer the way he felt he'd suffered. I sat with that knowledge, felt the weight of it. The truth was almost worse than the lies, because it meant my brother had stopped loving me years ago. Maybe he never had. I handed Brianna back her phone. Thank you for showing me, I said quietly. The settlement became final after that. No compromise, no mercy. Tyler signed everything Patricia put in front of him. The house stayed with me. My name was cleared. He had to repay part of the down payment to Mom's estate. The final settlement was signed on a Thursday morning. Tyler's signature looked shaky on the paperwork. The house stayed with me, completely. No sale, no split. My name was publicly cleared through a formal statement Tyler had to send to all family members. He had to repay $10,000 to Mom's estate for expenses he'd claimed but never paid. It was over on paper. Signed, sealed, legally finished. But inside, the damage would take longer to heal. I drove home to the house Mom left me, the house where I'd spent 6 months caring for her. The house full of memories, both painful and beautiful. It felt different now, heavier. I walked through each room, remembering, grieving, not just for Mom, but for the brother I thought I had, the family I thought was unbreakable. That evening, family members started reaching out. Apologies trickled in through text messages, some sincere, some obligatory. I accepted the sincere ones, ignored the rest. Peace returned slowly, in small pieces, like gathering fragments of broken glass, one piece at a time. I started making the house my own, painting walls, replacing curtains, creating new memories. I spent the next month reclaiming the house, making it mine, not Mom's, not Tyler's target, mine. I repainted the porch the color Mom always wanted but never got around to choosing, soft blue like morning sky. I washed all the curtains, replaced the worn carpet in the living room, moved Mom's favorite reading chair to the window where sunlight pooled in the afternoons. I planted flowers in the garden, daisies and roses. Mom's favorites. The physical work felt healing. Every brushstroke, every nail, every seed planted. Family members slowly reached out with genuine apologies. Cousin Valerie called crying. "I'm so sorry I believed the lies. I should have known better." Mrs. Cole brought me homemade cookies. "Your mother would be proud," she said. I accepted some apologies. Not all. Some bridges had burned too completely to rebuild. And that was okay. I was learning that not all family relationships are worth saving. Some people show you who they are. You should believe them. The house began to feel like mine, not by inheritance, but by survival. By fighting for it, by refusing to let lies destroy truth. I started planning something special in Mom's memory, a scholarship fund for caregivers like me. I visited Mom's grave on a Sunday morning, 3 months after everything ended. The grass around her headstone had grown thick and green. Sunlight warmed the marble. I knelt and traced her name with my fingers. "I kept the house, Mom," I whispered, "and I kept myself too." I told her about everything. The recording, the settlement, Tyler's emails, Brianna's confession. The truth finally winning. "I started something in your name," I said. "A small scholarship for family caregivers. People who give everything quietly while others get the credit. People like me." The scholarship would help one person each year. Pay for respite care, counseling, basic needs. Mom would have loved that. The final truth settled over me like warm sunlight. Family can betray you deeper than anyone else. But the truth, when documented and preserved and protected, outlives every lie. I stood and walked back to my car. My shoulders felt lighter, not because I won, but because I finally stopped apologizing for surviving people who benefited from my silence. Justice isn't always immediate. Sometimes it arrives slowly, quietly, in a dashcam recording that changes everything. I drove home to my house, my life, my future. Free at last from the weight of family obligation that had nearly destroyed me. The dashcam sat on my dashboard, still recording, a silent witness to truth, a reminder that evidence matters more than emotion, that documentation defeats deception. Tyler had taught me an important lesson, not the one he intended. He taught me that family isn't always worth trusting, but truth is always worth fighting for. I pulled into my driveway, my house, my sanctuary. My proof that the dependable one could also be the strong one, the one who survived, the one who won, the one who refused to let lies become legacy. And I smiled, because for the first time in my life, I was free. What started as a quiet family meeting turns into something far darker when a single sentence shatters everything Evelyn thought she knew about her brother. As their father's memory fades, secrets surface, timelines don't add up, and one unexpected recording threatens to expose a carefully hidden truth. Trust unravels, silence becomes a weapon, and a harmless household device holds more power than anyone imagined. Click to discover how one overlooked detail changed everything, and why this story proves the truth always finds a way out.